Hey you guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of AFRO Cooking Live. I am so excited to share tonight's recipe with you guys. So of course, like we talked about last week, it is Black Music Month, and so it's a time to celebrate Black music in all different kinds of ways. And of course, here on AFRO Cooking Live, I decided to get inspired and make a couple of different recipes. So last week, we did our steak and egg bagel that was inspired by Big Papa by Biggie, and I didn't realize it until I thought about it a little not too long ago. But tonight's recipe is also another kind of sort of breakfast sandwich, if you will. But that's okay. We need variety in the breakfast sandwich game, so it's perfectly fine. But tonight's recipe is inspired by one of my favorite genres of music, that being jazz. And so we're making a chicken and waffle sandwich. And I'll go ahead and give you guys the backstory a little later on. But in the meantime, we'll wait for people to join us. Let's get into some of these ingredients that we're using tonight. So first and foremost, kind of the star of the show. There's a lot of different cool components to tonight's recipe, but definitely one of the biggest ones are chicken that we have marinating here. So here I'm using some chicken thighs for tonight's recipes, or for tonight's recipe. As we always talk about, if you guys prefer a different cut of chicken, you're welcome to use it, but I'm a thigh girl, so I've got some boneless, skinless thighs here that I've had marinating for close to about 2 hours, maybe a little more actually. And then we have our flour that we'll be using to coat our chicken in, of course. We have some more flour, but we'll be using this for our waffle batter. To go along with that, we also have some sugar, along with some cinnamon and some baking powder as well. For tonight's recipe, y'all. So, like I said, I really was inspired by the genre of jazz, and as somebody who is an avid jazz listener, is really getting into the genre the more older that I get. I've come to find that it has so many different components that are so cool. From what is oftentimes like the bass in it, to the horns, to the drums, to the piano. Sometimes somebody with they're playing any kind of like strings, or maybe like a stand bass, that kind of thing, or a cello. There's just so many different components of jazz that really make me love it. So I decided to add a little something different to our sandwich today, and we'll be making a chipotle raspberry syrup. So here we have some fresh raspberries along with some chili de arbol. So these are some dried chipotles, and I broke these in half and I took the seeds out of them because that's what really makes them hot. And we want this syrup to have a little kick to it, but we don't want it to be too spicy. So we've got our chilies here. Like I said, these are dried. I've taken the seeds out of them, so they should be a little less spicy. And then here we have our fresh raspberries. I washed these earlier in the week, patted them dry. They're good to go. Along with that, we'll also be using a little bit of sugar, of course, to help bring that sweetness to our syrup. And then we'll be using some lemon juice as well. And I'll show you guys that entire process as we go through it. Tonight's sandwich is not just chicken and waffle. We're going to be putting a fried egg on there as well to kind of help blend together those sweet and savory flavors, along with a little bit of sharp white cheddar cheese, because personally I don't eat my eggs without cheese. I think y'all learned that last week. But furthermore, like I said, just to kind of add to that sharpness to it, that savory flavor, because the waffle is going to be sweet and so is the syrup. So we really want to have a nice balance. Hi, good afternoon, Miss Laura. How are you doing? Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you. Let's see, you guys. What time is it? It's about 6:04. Let's go ahead and get into tonight's recipe. So the first thing that I want to do is start up on our syrup, just so it can have some time to really melt into itself, come together, all those good things. So here, I have a small saucepan, and I'm going to go ahead and take my raspberries, which like I said have already been cleaned. They've been dried. They're good to go. I'm going to eat one, actually. But go ahead and add those into our pot. Make sure we got all of them. Oop, there's one that was hidden behind. So we're going to add those into our pot and then put them onto a medium to low temperature. And then to those, I'm going to add in our sugar. Now here, I have about half a cup of sugar. I don't think we're going to need all of this though. So I'm going to kind of add it in sparingly and go from there. So what we need. All right, now whenever I make my compotes, my syrups, jams, preserves, things of the sort, I like to give my fruit and my sugar, because those are always the bases of them, a little chance to kind of bring itself together. So I'm going to mix these around some, and then I like for them to get hot together before I kind of bring them some relief by adding in some water or any kind of liquid. So in this case, we'll be using water and lemon juice. And for tonight, although we love those raspberry bits, we will be straining them. It's okay if a few seeds get through, but we want a nice smooth syrup, so we'll be straining that through a strainer. All right, so just to give you guys the the visual, here's what we want our raspberries to look like, nice and coated all in that sugar. There it is. Like I said, we're going to put this back on our heat and let those get nice and hot before we add any liquid to them. So while those are doing their thing, let's go ahead and get into this chicken. So like I told you guys, I've had this chicken marinating for a couple of hours now. And y'all have seen me fry chicken several times here on Afro Cooking Live. But of course, in here we have got some buttermilk. I also got some hot sauce, which is what's giving it that red color. I added some pickle juice, some lemon pepper, a little bit of Cajun seasoning, garlic powder, salt, pepper, all the good stuff. Nothing too outlandish. I didn't do anything too special with tonight's chicken. So we've got this here. I'm going to give this a little bit more time to just kind of finish marinating itself. And of course, like we've talked about before, if you're looking for nice juicy chicken, I say use chicken thighs. But if you're insistent on using a different cut of meat, or if you're frying your chicken differently and you're unable to, use thighs for whatever reason, you always want to be sure to marinate your chicken in some kind of dairy product. I've used sour cream, Greek yogurt, cream, milk, etc. All of those are guaranteed to give you a nice juicy piece of chicken. So I'm gonna set this aside and let it marinate for just a little bit longer. But while we wait on that, let's go ahead and start on our waffles. So here I've got about 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm gonna add that into our bowl here. Make sure you get it all out. All right, so we got all our flour out. And then along to that, I'm gonna add in 2 tablespoons of baking powder. To that, I'll then also be adding in 1/2 cup of white sugar, and you can use brown if you want to. Sometimes whenever I'm feeling a little fancy, I'll add brown sugar to like my waffle or my pancake mix instead of white sugar. And I tell you what, whenever you're making pancakes, it is guaranteed to give you those crispy edges that people love on their pancakes. And then also just adds just a different kind of richness and sweetness to it. I like it personally. And then here we're gonna add a little bit of cinnamon in. This is about a tablespoon's worth. So we're gonna add those in. And before we add in any of our wet ingredients, we're going to whisk this to get any clumps that might be in here out. So we do not want clumpy or floury waffles. And I can hear our raspberries and sugar behind me starting to make a little bit of noise, which lets me know it's just about to that point to add in our liquid. So after we get done whisking all of this together, we'll go ahead and do that. And then to this, I'm also going to add in a little bit of salt. Whenever you're making something sweet and it calls for a little bit of salt, unless it is a salted caramel something or something that, or a dish that is being specific about wanting that salty taste to stand out, always use iodized salt. Iodized salt is going to add that salty taste. Meanwhile, kosher salt is going to help complement the flavors of a dish. In this case, we just want this to balance it out. So it's okay to have that little bit of saltiness in there. So like I said, a little bit of iodized salt. And that's about it as far as our dry ingredients go. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is squeeze in our lemons. And usually, we're very particular. We take our seeds out of our lemons. But because we're straining this today, it's all right. We can leave them in there. So as you can hear, as soon as I add in that lemon juice, kind of made that sizzling noise, letting me know that our raspberries and sugar were waiting for a little bit of liquid to be added in here, which is A-okay with us. That's exactly what we want. Today's lemon was very juicy, fortunately, so that put us in the perfect position to get our syrup going. So now that that's in, we're going to take our spatula again and further mix everything around. Break up some of these raspberries a little bit. And then we're going to add in some more sugar here. Like I said, we got a pretty good amount of it measured out to be used. We may or may not use all of it. Kind of just depends. I'm breaking up our raspberries, and now what I'm going to do is increase our heat by just a little bit so that this starts to boil and so that some of that sugar begins to kind of syrup itself. Pull those natural sweetness and that flavor out of those raspberries, and then we'll be good to go. I do not have a cookbook, but of course the Afro absolutely does. If you guys haven't already, go online to afro.com. You can go to our mall and you should be able to order our keepsake cookbook. We came out with it around this time about 2 years ago when I first joined the Afro. One of my favorite projects or things I've ever gotten the chance to be a part of. So no ma'am, I do not have my own cookbook, but the Afro absolutely does. And I got the opportunity to actually contribute recipes to it. So there's some delicious stuff in there for myself, some other members of the Afro team, some of our friends and family, even a couple of celebrity chefs. I believe Vice President Kamala Harris has a recipe in there that she shared with us that we grabbed and added in there. So there's definitely some really good things in there. Definitely be sure to check it out and give it a taste. Or try some things in there and give them a taste and let us know what you think. But like I said, so we got our raspberries kind of mushed up in here, and I'll show you guys. So we add in that lemon juice, and that's just the juice of a lemon. Now, it wasn't very juicy lemon, but we haven't added in any water yet. All we did was break down our raspberries, add in some sugar here. We're going to let this thicken up a little bit. We're going to let it reduce itself and thicken up, and then it should be good to go. All right. So actually what I'm going to go ahead and do is switch eyes. I'm going to now move our raspberry syrup or the base of it over here to this eye, and then this is the pan that we're going to be using tonight to fry our chicken. So we want our chicken to kind of fry or get a few pieces fried up before we start on our waffles, just because those are super easy to make. So like I said, switching eyes, moving things over, letting this do its thing. And once our raspberries start to boil, that's when we know we're at a good point. And we don't necessarily want a rolling boil or anything like that, but just hot enough where we hear it making some noise in the background. All right. So like I said, we've mixed together our flour, our baking powder, some sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, and these are all of our dry ingredients for our waffle that we're not quite ready to continue on with yet. So I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to start on battering and frying up our chicken. So I've already got my pan set, or my eye here set to a medium to high temperature. We're gonna let that continue doing its thing. And I'll add in some oil to our pan here. There's already a little in here, but I'm gonna add in some more. All right. So go ahead and grab my gloves. Like I said, we've had our chicken marinating for close to about, a little past 2 hours. And so here I have my bag full of flour, which I'm going to season up before we start adding our chicken into it. So here I've got a little bit of what is called Cajun lemon pepper. I found this at a local grocery store and I absolutely love it. So we're going to add in some of that. To that, I'm then going to also add in a little bit of seasoned salt. Here we've got some ranch seasoning as well. And then lastly, we've got a little bit of thyme and parsley mixed together too. Close our bag up. Give this a good shake. Make sure everything is well combined. All right, y'all, I'm seeing flecks in the flour, which lets me know it's good and seasoned. So like I said, shake it up just a little bit more. There we go. All right, so our flour is seasoned and ready to go. Go ahead and move these ramekins out our way. Put our gloves on so we can start grabbing our chicken out of our marinade and putting it into our flour, and then of course into this grease. Hi, I see somebody just joined us. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're watching Afro Cooking Live. Tonight we are making chicken and waffle sandwiches, which were inspired by jazz, because this month we are doing recipes inspired by Black music genres in dedication of Black Music Month. And for those of you who don't know, y'all forgot to tell the story. Okay, so chicken and waffles were invented in the jazz clubs in Harlem, New York during the 1930s. What it is, of course, that was the height of jazz, and there were a lot of artists who were getting out the club so late that they didn't know if they wanted breakfast or dinner. So there was a restaurant that started serving chicken with waffles, and it was available those wee hours of the morning between dinner and breakfast. So that is how we were graced with the delicious dish known as chicken and waffles. So like I said, today I'm using some boneless, skinless chicken thighs for our recipe. I've got about 3 that I'm adding into our flour right now. I'm gonna go ahead and close this up as well as possible. I'm trying to separate my hands today. I've got my dirty hand and my clean hand. I'm gonna use this to grab our chicken out of our marinade and add it into our flour. I'm gonna use this one to grab it out of our flour and add it into our grease. So bear with me as I get this bag closed up with a singular hand. All right. So here's our first piece of chicken. We're gonna go ahead, drop it into our flour. And there it is. Beautiful. And these thighs aren't too big, so I think we'll take this one and add it in there as well. Yeah, we got room for this last one. This is a real little one, so we'll just add that in there as well. As y'all can hear, it's getting it going. It's doing its thing. Of course, when frying, we always start high and then we go low. So we had our grease up to a high temperature. We just turned it down. Let it lower in temperature just a little bit. All right, it's frying away. Our raspberry syrup is starting to bubble as well. I'm gonna add in molasses sugar. And then I'm also going to add in our chilies de árbol, which are going to give it that nice spicy flavor we talked about it having. And like I said, I did de-seed these. I took the seeds out so that they're not as spicy, but I still think I'm going to only add in a few because we don't want it too hot. All right, let that bring itself together. And while that continues to go, we're going to add some more chicken into our flour here. Go ahead and grab our tongs. I don't think our chicken's quite ready for flipping yet, but you know what? I like to keep them on me. I like to keep that thing on me just in case it is ready. But I don't think they are yet. And that's all right. As our syrup continues to kind of marry itself together and as our chicken fries, we can go ahead and finish up our waffle batter actually. So let me take these gloves off real quick, y'all. All right, so for those of you who just might be joining us, here we've got our waffle. I'll say this is our mix. This ain't quite our batter yet. So we added in our flour along with our baking powder, a little bit of cinnamon, and some sugar as well. We mix this so that we don't have any clumps in our waffles because nobody wants a clumpy waffle. So now what we're going to do is add in 2 eggs. And y'all, I'm gonna give you a little secret. Whenever I make pancakes or waffles, outside of the dry ingredients, I don't measure anything. I go off of texture. So we just added our 2 eggs. We're gonna add a little bit of milk here. And then last, we're gonna add in just a little bit of canola oil. And whenever you make baked goods, whether that be brownies, waffles, pancakes, you always wanna use a neutral oil. I remember one time I had messed up and I put olive oil in a cake. And there is such thing as an olive oil cake. It's actually quite delicious. But this one was not good. I regretted everything I had done that day. So, like I said, add a little bit of that in there. Some more milk. Of course, y'all know how we get down on AFRO Cooking Live. We love vanilla, which is, it sounds crazy because you're probably wondering what else could it possibly add to your dish besides the taste of vanilla. But I'm telling y'all, vanilla just really does something to a baked good for me. So we're going to add in a little bit of vanilla here. And because I love for my waffles to actually taste like something, I'm going to add in a little bit of cinnamon butter extract as well. And I got this at my local grocery store. So we got all of our ingredients in here. We're going to go ahead and continue to whisk this together. All right, and then we're going to go in with more milk. Like I said, I base it off the texture, y'all. So when I get it and it's nice and smooth, that's when I know we've reached the point I'm looking for. All right, so we've got our waffle mix pretty well mixed together. I'm gonna give it a few more turns here. Oh, it is so smooth, y'all. Look at that. Hold it up so you guys can see it. But it's just nice and velvety and smooth. So I'm going to leave that alone. We're going to go ahead and turn this chicken. Ooh, this chicken is just beautifully brown. And of course, check on our syrup. See how it's coming along? Oh, it's starting to bubble up just how I knew it was going to. So if you guys recall, like I said, we're going to be straining this today. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our strainer here. Maybe give this like another 2 minutes or so. Like I said, I'm going to give that a few more minutes to kind of mind its business. I'm going to leave it alone, and I'm going to go grab that bowl that we're going to be straining this into. All right, so we've got our bowl. Our waffle mix is done. Let's start making some waffles, shall we? So here, yeah, my mom, she finds the coolest stuff. We have a double-sided waffle iron, so you can make 2 waffles at one time, and I think that is the coolest thing ever. And it's super convenient as well, especially in instances where you need a bunch of waffles made quickly. You got a bunch of them made lickety-split. So what I'm going to do, and I like to use a plastic bowl whenever I make waffles, so that when I'm pouring it into the iron, it's a little bit easier. And what I mean by that is I'm going to take my bowl and kind of squeeze it so that I get a little bit of a lip on it, and I can get a more accurate pour into our waffle iron. Because I'm not gonna lie, nothing drives me crazier than an overfilled waffle iron that is just making a mess everywhere. All right, there we go. So we got our first side filled. Go ahead and close this up, flip it over, and then we're gonna do the same thing to the other side. And then what's great about this, it lets me know when they're ready. Oh, I love it. All right. There we go. So we have both of our waffle irons filled. They're good to go. I can smell our chicken. Oh, it's coming together beautifully. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes. That's just that first batch, those first 3 thighs that we did. But our syrup is just about ready for straining. So we've got our bowl here, we've got our strainer. Go ahead and turn down the heat of our syrup, because even after we strain, we're going to put it back into our saucepan and just kind of let it finish going. Let it finish doing its thing. Get some of those seeds out of there. All right. So what I'm going to do is take one of these pieces of chili de árbol that we had and put it back in our syrup as we pour it back into our pot. All right. Take this and put it in our sink. And we've turned down the temperature so that our syrup should no longer be boiling, but simply keeping warm. Grab our spatula. All right, and our syrup is essentially done. Like I said, we're letting that keep warm. We added a little bit of one of those chili pods back in there just to kind of let it get a little more of that spicy flavor. So now we're going to go ahead and take out our first thing of chicken. Flip this over, see if our first waffle's ready. It's not. Cool. That's perfectly fine though. Oops, I don't know why this last piece is trying to fight me. Get out that grease. All right, so grab our glove. And we already, if you guys recall, we already had a few more pieces battered up and ready to go. So we're gonna grab those out of our bag of flour and drop them right on in here. We're gonna keep it moving along. Another piece ready to go. And y'all, our first waffle is ready. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Let me get a different pair of tongs. Look at that, y'all. Y'all see that beautiful waffle? We're going to go ahead and drop it on our tray here. Flip it over to the other side. That other one ought to be ready to go too. It is. Ah, I love it. I'm so excited. All right, and this one overflowed just a little bit, so we're gonna eat it. All right, now the best thing about this waffle iron, once again, y'all can't rave about it enough. It stays hot, so although it's just me eating right now, but I'm sure later on I might have some people come and enjoy the leftovers, so then I can make the waffles fresh and we'll be good to go. So we're gonna get our waffle iron out the way. We're gonna move our waffles to the side as well because we won't need those for a little bit here. And we got that next batch of chicken already going. We're going to go ahead, take these last few pieces that are in our marinade and add it to our flour. And then once those pieces that are currently in the grease are done, we can just drop these in and we'll be good to go. That's it, that's all. The last two pieces just went in the flour. We're gonna take our bowl that had our marinade in it and move it over here to our sink, get it out the way. And y'all know how we feel about a clean kitchen here on AFRO Cooking Live. So take some of this time to kind of tidy up just a little bit. All right. Like I said, we just added our last piece of chicken into the flour, and we just added some more chicken into our grease. So it's going to be a few minutes until those are ready, but that's a-okay. What we're going to do in the meantime to keep our waffles nice and hot is stick them in our oven. Let these keep warm. Like I said, we're going to clean up additionally as well. Get some of this mess out the way so that when it's time to eat, there's nothing in our way, y'all. We don't want nothing standing in our way. Let's see. Oh, I see some more people joined us. Thank you. Welcome, you guys. You're tuning into AFRO Cooking Live. There is absolutely nothing wrong. Cooking is such a fun process, for me at least. So I'm always happy to practice, always to show other people. Like you said, technique, it can be hard. It can be hard to execute, or even to kind of get a grasp of that to make you want to, you know, continue to execute. So Ms. Ruth, I am happy to continue to show you how I do my thing, and hopefully it'll inspire you to do yours. All right, so let's see if this chicken is ready for flipping. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. All right, so what I'm gonna do actually right now is take some time to try this syrup and see what it's talking about. I know first and foremost, it's gonna be hot. And I don't mean spicy hot, I mean hot as in temperature, because it is quite literally liquid sugar with some flavorings in it, you know, a little this, a little that. But nonetheless, it's liquid sugar and it's gonna be hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bit on our spoon here. And I think that we're to the point where we can turn this off. So I'm not gonna lie, you guys, it kind of looks like cough syrup, but I know for a fact it does not taste like it. So I'm gonna blow on this very carefully. All right, I think it should be cool enough for me to try now without burning off every single taste but I own. So let's see. Okay, first and foremost, yes, it's cool enough. I can try it actually. So let's give it a big taste now. Oh, y'all, that is so good. Let me break this down for y'all. It is sweet and it is raspberry. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I love raspberries personally. I love them. And so it is sweet. It has that raspberry flavor to it. It's got that spice, but it's not like a punch you in the mouth spice. It's kind of like it's a back flavor, honestly. Like, it kind of comes at the end of trying it. Oh, that is everything I wanted to be and more. This is so good. Y'all have to try this. And even if you don't try it on this particular sandwich, I don't know how y'all feel about sweet and spicy, but this might be good on something sweet. Like a dessert or something, maybe as like a little side dipping or something, or this would even be good for like dipping chicken tenders in as the base of something. I don't know. Don't get me going. You guys know I'll talk for days about what this could go great with. But this is absolutely delicious. Our syrup is good to go. I'm going to remove that chili pie from it so it doesn't get any spicier. Okay. So at this point, our syrup is just going. She's ready to roll. Yeah, letting that cool is definitely a must because this time it was just a little bit hotter when I tried it off my spoon, but nonetheless, it's still delicious. It's everything I thought it was going to be and more. Alright, so we're going to move our syrup off of our eye, and we're going to set that to the side. Like I said, it's ready to go. We got the second batch chicken going. Our waffles that we're going to use for tonight's recipe are already in the oven. Everything is rolling. We're going in a great direction. But what I'm going to do now is start frying up our egg, as we talked about before. We talked about this a little bit last week. You always want your egg to be the last thing that you cook, because a cold egg is not good. I don't care what anybody tells you, unless it's a hard-boiled one. Nobody that I know, at least, is looking to eat cold, scrambled, fried, over easy, any of that kind of egg. So we're going to go ahead and start cooking off our egg, because it's just about time to start assembling this sandwich, y'all. I can't even lie. And excuse me if I'm looking around, I can't seem to find the cap to my gallon of milk, but it's fine. We'll find it when we need it. So here I've got a skillet. Like I said, we've already got our eye kind of hot from when we were having our syrup going and letting that finish marrying itself. Oh, from the taste of it, what a beautiful marriage it is. So go ahead, and we want our pan hot enough so that we can actually fry our egg, but we don't want it too hot. So I'm going to start that on a medium to low temperature. And then I'm going to add in a knob of butter here. All right, and my hands are a little buttery, so let me go ahead and wash them off. All right, butter's in the pan, it's starting to melt down. And tonight is also going to serve as a lesson on how to fry an egg for those of you who don't know. So just watch and you shall learn. All right, second batch of chicken is ready to come out. I'm going to go ahead and grab this. Add it to the rest of our chicken. All right, and like I said, we got 2 pieces already rolled up in our flour, ready to go. So I'm going to grab these last 2 pieces from in here. Toss them around a little bit more, make sure they get nice and coated in our flour. All right. So all of our chicken is done. Like I said, we just added the last 2 pieces into our grease. Our syrup is done, our waffles are done, those are in the oven. We just added our knob of butter into our pan so that we can start frying this egg off. We are in a great place to go ahead and almost start eating our chicken and waffle sandwich, y'all. Get a paper towel. All right, our butter is all melted in our pan for our fried egg. Our chicken is frying. We're gonna go ahead and take our egg. And sometimes you can crack them on the counter. I like to crack mine on the side of the pan so that it's as close to the actual pan, that the part of the pan that's hot as humanly possible. So I'm gonna crack it right here. Make sure it don't get any shell in there. All right. Now, in my opinion, a great fried egg is yolky in the middle, but done on both sides. So, we're going to try to achieve that tonight. I'm pretty sure we should be able to. So, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. Right now, our egg is in a place where the outside of it is done, but as you can see, there's still some yolk around or some white around the egg that isn't quite done. So we want to wait for that to be done. We want to wait till the point where all of our whites are done, but our yolk is still runny, then we'll flip it and it'll be good to go. Alright, so we just flipped our egg. Like I said, that yolk is still running, but our whites are done. So we're going to let this get a little bit of color on the other side. And then once you can kind of flip it back and forth, that's when you know you're really in a great place. Alright. So, in the meantime, while we're letting our egg cook, we're going to get a few more things moved out the way here, so we can keep our area nice and clean, so that when it's time to eat, the messiest thing that we got going is this sandwich. And our egg is starting to make a little bit of noise, which lets me know it's probably ready to be flipped once again, which then means it's perfect timing for adding on our cheese. Like I said, today we're using a nice sharp white American because I wanted something that has a nice savory flavor to go along with it. That waffles won't be sweet, as is our syrup. And so just something to kind of even it out, you know. All right. So our egg is all done. Like I said, we got a little bit of color on that other side. The yolk is kind of oozing out the middle, and that's okay. That's all right. Let's set that back down in our pan. Add our cheese on top. All right. And matter of fact, I think we'll fry another one. We got some time too, waiting on our chicken to wrap up. Although we still got a little bit of butter in our pan from the last time, I like to be really sure with my eggs that they are nice and just not sticking to the pan. So add a little bit of non-stick spray there. Like I said, crack it on the side. Gonna go ahead and flip this last 2 pieces of chicken that we got in here. All right, it's just about time to start assembling our sandwich. So we're gonna pull our waffles out of the oven. Here they are. Like I said, this egg fries quick, y'all, so we're gonna keep an eye on it. So what I'm going to do this time is add our cheese on while it's still in the pan so it can get a little bit more melted. Alright, so I'm going to let the rest of that residual heat finish cooking our eggs, and it's time to start assembling our sandwich, y'all. So here we've got our waffle. I think I'm going to take the, matter of fact, now I'll take this one that's on top here. So I'm going to rip our waffle in half because that's all that I need for this. So technically, although we only made 2 waffles, we have enough to make 4 sandwiches because we only need 2 triangles apiece. So take our waffle and add our fried egg with that white cheddar, excuse me, on top of it. Then I'm going to take a piece of our chicken here. Which one do I want? I'm gonna take this piece right here. Take a piece of our chicken, put that on top, and top it off with another waffle piece. And here's our sandwich. But I promise we did not spend all that time making that syrup for nothing. So we're gonna go ahead and get a side of that as well. And give me just a moment as I get to the plate for the second egg to be made. All right, so our second egg is out the pan. Pan is off the heat. I believe our chicken is just about done frying. These last two pieces that are in here. Let's check and see. Yep, they're good to go. All right. The chicken is done frying. The eggs are done being cooked. We've already assembled our sandwich. We're gonna go ahead and grab some of this syrup here. And y'all, it's just about time to eat. Let's get into it. So I got a little ramekin here. I'm gonna pour some of our syrup into it. We're gonna put that back on the heat actually, just so it doesn't thicken up too much. We definitely want to keep it a syrup as opposed to kind of becoming a little bit of a preserve. All right, a little bit more in there. All right. So here is our chicken and waffle sandwich along with our raspberry chipotle syrup. Oh, you guys, I am so excited to try this. Let's give it a taste. Oh, and it's such a beauty. I don't know how to attack it first and foremost. Let me turn these waffles the same direction because that's going to drive me crazy. I know it shouldn't, but it will. All right. And I think I was told that you should eat your burgers and all your messy sandwiches upside down instead of the other way so that, I don't know. They were just said that the part that's the messy is eat that upward. So we're going to go ahead and give this a taste. Here we go. Mm-hmm. Mm. I wouldn't classify this as a big sandwich. Like, it's not super large in size. Definitely big in flavor. Definitely big in flavor. That was just a really big bite to take. So excuse me as I continue to chew. I'm gonna go ahead and take a piece of this chicken, dip it in this syrup. Y'all, I did exactly what I knew I was gonna do. That chicken goes so well with that syrup. It's not even funny. So good. Oh my goodness. Absolutely delicious. That egg works with it perfectly. Not quite as runny as I was hoping for, but still very, very good. Mm-mm-mm. All right, you guys. Ooh, now that I got over that big bite that I had, like I said, the bite was big, but the flavor in this sandwich is even bigger. This is so good. Hits all those notes that I was hoping it was going to in regards to jazz. Like I said, it's got that sweet, that spicy, which reminds me of, like I said, that hi-hat, the horns, just all those different symphonic things that jazz has in them. This sandwich definitely embodies them, and I'm super happy that I was able to take something that I'm already familiar with, that being chicken and waffles, and make it into a sandwich. And then this syrup, y'all, I'm about to bottle this and sell it. Somebody was asking in the comments, do I have a cookbook? I do not, but I'm about to have a line of syrups. However, if you don't already, please follow us here on Facebook at Afro American Newspapers. You can follow us on all of our other platforms at Afro News. We do this every week. We will not be doing this next week because we do have the National Newspapers Publishers Association Conference coming to the Baltimore area. We are super excited to host everybody, but we will definitely be back to it following that week. So please continue to tune in. We also are doing some reels this month that are also in relation to Black Music Month, so you guys be sure to keep your eyes peeled for those. But I'm going to go ahead and get cleaned up. This sandwich is going to get ate up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.